What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the extended preview, I guess, for my Lone Wolf style Mad Cat. This video goes a little bit more into detail on the build itself, its movement, and I'm going to show some of the weapons testing so you can get a little bit better of an idea of its general range of motion. As soon as we get into the build, we got up to start walking, left to open or close the cab, down stops the walk cycle, and then we have torso lock on the right. Now, torso lock is kind of optional, but it's a little easier to know what direction the legs are heading when you lock yourself closer to the center. It will work with torso lock off, and I'll show that in a second, but to turn, you just pivot the body off of whichever leg is locked into the ground, and then the leg will retract once the other leg is taking its step. The left and right thrusters that I've got on it do seem to help with turning, especially with the torso lock off, but the large thruster is really just for looks, even though I use it in some of the clips. With the torso lock off, it will stop at 40 degrees on each side, mostly to keep the legs from hitting the guns, but this way you can overturn the body and the legs will also turn in the direction you're looking. Now for the weapons on the second page for Xbox, up will be for the rockets, right is for your arm autocannons, down has torso lock again, and left toggles the turret controller's AI on and off. The AI should be off to begin with in the build so you can attempt to shoot straight at targets that are either stationary or on the ground. It's a little difficult to do while walking, but it is possible to hit targets without the turret controller AI and their extra weapons. This was just a quick example. I threw a few of my tanks out there, more of a straight plane, turn the arm weapons on and try to catch them with as many shots as I could. When it comes to the turret controllers, they control some of the arm rockets and the autocannons on the cab. This way, they can track elevation or flying targets. So you basically control turning and aiming left and right, and the controllers will aim up and down. So if your arm rockets are shooting, they're basically aiming the rest of the arm weapons, and you can just turn them on. You may want to pre-fire things though, just because the controllers are sometimes late to tracking the target, so having the guns already shooting isn't a bad idea. But if you can at least try to keep your target in the center view of the cab as best you can, then the turret controllers will track the rest. You basically have control of 2/3 of the weapons, and the turret controllers use the other third. And again, they'll just pick up on targets when they can within range. These weapon testing clips did take a few takes to make, so I can not guarantee they will always turn out like this, but for the most part it seemed to do fairly well as long as the turret controllers picked up within a decent amount of time. One thing that kind of bothered me when I started building mechs though was when my arms would get stuck up in the air, so the turret controllers are also on a timer block setup so that when you turn them off, the weapons will just reset back to being straight for you. This is just another recent test I had, but I did include a couple of the older tests I did that people kind of liked on Xbox, and they really just show that I had it working with different setups. So if you want the cab to rotate 360, it might work, and you can help keep balance, or you can turn the large thruster on if you wanted to try to help, or I think even like in this case I had the autocannons on triggers. The ones on the cab lost their tracking, but it still worked. So you can try different things. I think the rockets were also on the controller, so they were all just shooting at once here. But I tried to leave it a little bit open to be customizable since I did have it working a few different ways, but the actual save file will work and look like the rest of the clips in the beginning. I didn't even have the timer blocks in the build for these last two clips because these are the old clips, but even so, it was working decently in the whole build process. Getting into mechs has been a little bit of a learning curve within my space engineer's mechanics, and I know things can always change with future game updates, but most of my mechs as of right now have just about the same functionality when it comes to walking, turning, shooting, the whole bit. But I do plan to make videos for each of my next mechs and other things as I get them finalized for release. Honestly, I'm a little ahead of myself as far as keeping up with the rest of the builds I'm trying to finalize and release, but I know there was a few people that were looking forward to this build, so as far as this video being posted now, it is now going to be available on the mod.io workshop. So there will be some more build video previews and the builds coming in the future. But until then, enjoy the Lone Wolf Mad Cat, and I'll see you guys in the next previews. Take it easy.